Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. I know it's been a minute, but Angie back in the building. How everybody living? Hope everybody's doing swell. Hope that the weather change is doing everybody well. Critical. Thank you for coming through, Queen. I hope everybody not getting too wrapped up into the saga. Terry, thank you for coming through, King. Peace and blessings to everyone. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I'm so happy to be back, y'all. Raw Truth. Hey, Queen. What's up, sis? Shout out to everyone. Shout out to all of you lovely people. You know, Angie ain't been too far from around, you know, but I've been lifing. Life has been lifing, taking care of things, but I haven't been too far away from the saga. It's been a lot going on. It's been a lot that's transpired. Um, Peace and blessings to everyone. I'm happy that everybody is making it through. Um, yes, Raw, I miss you so much. I'm back, y'all, and I'm gonna try to be more consistent as well. I kind of slowed down for a minute, but it's okay. When you're first starting and in your new venture, sometimes it doesn't just pick up automatically, but with time, you build and you keep going, right? So that's what I'm doing. Thank you for everybody for supporting that, and I've been trying to come through to the best of my ability with everyone else. How everybody been doing, what we've been having going on. I know I started a new job, y'all, so I've been working and full-time college student and things like that. So life has been making a bit of a transition for me. So I wasn't missing without reason. Everybody got everything going on, and life is good for you guys. Let me know what type of updates you got. If you're doing all right, if you need some wisdom or whatever the case is, Angie is here. Yes, critical queen. It's just been a blessing, with me going back into my career and working in the office, and it's just been a new season as of late, and I've been very happy and excited about it. So yeah, I kind of been missing that action for a little bit, but I had to get some things settled and in order before I can come back and have my mind focused and everything. So here I am, and I'm gonna get some things crunk up, and get some excitement going on with the channel while I give some real spill and wisdom and love and all things, right? Yo, but just recently, Tasha K, she let out the interview that Kevin Wesley and his wives did, right? And we all know that this interview took place about a year ago, when the saga was all in the motions. Raw True said, yes, Angie, I always need a word from you. I know you had a lot going on with school, so I didn't want to call to bother you, but we could talk this weekend if you're free. Raw, I'm always free for you, Queen. Believe that. And I love you, sis. I love you. So yeah, just hit me up whenever, and we definitely can link and have a conversation. That'll be fun. And I know that Raw Truth been giving out the great juice in the saga lately. Trust me, I ain't been sleeping on none of it. I've been catching all of it, and it's been going down. It's been really hot and heavy going on with so much going on with you know Brianna and everything. Facts, sis. Facts. We got to be there for one another and help each other fix our crowns. One thing that I've learned about life is, you know, in this journey, we all have seasons, we all have moments, you know what I'm saying? But perspectives always change. And guess what? That is through growth. That is through growth. Period, Queen. Thank you, Critical. Much love to y'all. Terry King, thank you for continuing to share and support my channel. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to all of y'all. Y'all been sharing love and supporting me, even with me not necessarily being able to come to my channel and everything. And I'm very appreciative to it. Um, it's been hot in these YouTube streets. Yes, it has. And I don't want to add more fuel to the fire or whatever, but we all know I come through for the brother Kevin, always. You feel me? Because he's a real one, and I've been a follower of his information that he's placed on his channel for years, you know, and not only that, but his beautiful wives, they always have something to bring. Lacey always gives a lot of wisdom on her channel. Jamie, she does a lot of things on her channel as well. And they're beautiful souls. They're a beautiful family. Their children are healthy. Great examples for the culture. And it hurt my heart to see, this entire family going through what they went through. Dreamy girl, thank you for coming through, Queen. Shout out to you, Queen. And even with all of us, just you guys, we've been in this saga for a minute, seeing everything. I know I seen Dreamy Girl coming through plenty of times. Open book. Shout out to you, Queen. Shout out to the sis Open Book, you guys. Wonderful channel, wonderful content creator. You guys are beautiful souls. You guys make me so happy. I'm happy that you guys are here with me, because you guys, throughout this entire saga, it's the very ones in my chat right now that I've noticed that just have beautiful hearts, beautiful intentions. Shout out to y'all. Peace and blessings to y'all. I'm so happy to see y'all here. I'm so happy that we've been able to make it to this moment. This is a beautiful moment to me. I'm forever grateful for it too. And Kevin Wesley, he has taught a lot on his channel, and to see his brother go through a hard divorce, his siblings, his sisters go through a hardship through this divorce as well. Kevin and his family, they all went through this hardship, y'all, in this saga. And it's been very tough. And not just it's been tough for them, but it's been tough for us too, to even witness this. And just imagine to be in their shoes, with what they had going on. So when Kevin did this interview with Tasha K, of course he's in that moment, right? And so of course he has a lot of strong opinions, and I'm not even gonna flex with you. I agree with a lot of the opinions, to this moment. Not too much in my perspective has necessarily changed from that, but I'm going to try my best to be, as respectful and fair, because I think that's what we more so need within this saga, is a little bit of fairness. So that's what I'm going to try to deliver with giving my explanation. What Ross said, I already shared the live, Dreamy, Critical, and Open Book. Greatly appreciated if you ladies could share this live. Thank you so much for sharing the live, y'all. Thank y'all so much. I know it's been a minute for me, but I'm always here, and we always family. Sometimes you got them family members you may not see every day, but when they come through, it's always love. And that's me. It's always love with y'all. And it's always love with this family, especially with witnessing everything that they have had to endure. And everybody has perspectives, everybody has opinions, and I think that's okay. But when it interferes, when it starts to affect someone's personal life, when it starts to affect someone's character, that's when things are just a little too extreme, a little too harsh. And sometimes we just got to take a step back, get out of our emotions. Trauma can kind of cause us to have a tunnel vision. So when you're in that tunnel vision, you can't necessarily see how you're affecting others. because the whole thought process is how you're affected, right? So I think that's the whole essence of hurt people hurting people. And this saga has showed me that it's a lot of hurt people out here. And so, me personally, I want to try my best to try to be from a place of understanding when it comes to that. Try to come from a place of grace, because I have moments, I've been there before too, so I can relate in that sense. No matter how cold it may seem, I just try my hardest not to go so far in, and I'm not perfect, because I found myself even in this saga going hard in the wrong direction, because it's been a lot of emotions, and we've all had a lot of emotions in this saga. And I don't think nobody has come out necessarily perfect, but what I think is not what happens. It's not necessarily the mess that determines your character. It's how you respond, or how you carry out after the mess, how you make up from the mess, that determines your character. And so, with my best ability, I'm learning from my own mistakes, from my own vulnerable moments, and try to grow from there, and try to keep a fair place for everyone else to grow as well. And you just never know how that can affect the person that you least intended for it to affect, right? So, we can only do the best we can, and the best we can starts with ourselves. So if anybody can mirror, pick up from what I've gained and grown within myself, then my job is well done, right? Y'all, but we got to get into it. We got to get into this Tasha K interview, y'all. Now, what I can say is shout out to Tasha K. She's been doing her thing for a long time. She has a wonderful platform. Um, what I can say about this interview is they had two different perspectives. And I like the dialogue, because even if they necessarily didn't see each point, they were willing to hear each point. And that's what I can respect about a true conversation, right? It didn't have to be a debate, but it was a discussion, you know? Thank you so much, Dreamy Girl Queen. Thank you so much. Y'all, it's been a minute as well, but once I figure out how to get this moderation thing down too, I can make some more moderators and everything. Shout out to my day one moderators that were here in the beginning as well. Lady Love came through for me. Latoya came through for me. I think I got Melanin Related came through for me. Shout out to my moderators. But I love the conversation when people are able to share perspectives, and even though they don't necessarily agree, it doesn't have to be an argument, or it doesn't make the person seem worse than the other. So I very much so appreciated this conversation, because we could be speaking English to each other, but based upon your understanding and based upon my understanding, we can be in two different worlds of understanding, having the same conversation, but it's a different conversation depending on how you perceive it. And so I think Kevin, he went live the other day and basically identified how he, was perceiving things at the time, and didn't necessarily, recognize the dialogue going into a different space, or a different understanding. And I can respect that, because Tasha K probably didn't realize that as well. But this is why it's so good to be effective with communication, and being open and to even converse, even if we can't see eye to eye. That's wisdom. That's being an adult. That's even they even made it a space where they can go back and see the clarity within each statement that they've made, and realize, oh, they probably were seeing it this way, or they probably were seeing it that way. I see why I couldn't understand it, because I was looking at it from this point of view, and that's wisdom. It didn't end in an argument. It didn't end in beef and going back and forth and the drama and the chaos. And that's what I'm all about, sharing perspectives. And even if we don't agree, we walked away being respected, as adults, because you don't have to agree. That just your perspective doesn't make you more right than mine. And my perspective doesn't make me more right than you. We just I identify it like this. Envision that everybody is a form of a planet. Everybody's like a planet. And the sun is the truth. The sun is the fact. And every individual, we live in a different space around the facts, around the sun. We're not going to see everything the same. We're not going to understand everything the same. And sometimes when we're moving in our journey in our life, we start to evolve and change our mindsets. Sometimes trauma can hinder us from that, and block us from wanting to change our perspective, not even realizing that's what keeps us stuck in the same spot. We're not moving. We're not changing perspectives, that stubbornness. But when you start to realize that the changing of perspectives is how you're supposed to move around in life, you start to move more freely. You start to be more welcome to others moving as well. And that's what I try to do to the best of my ability, because I want to be able to be free from my wrongdoings, from my past. So I have to be more accepting of myself and accepting that others are doing the same. Even if I feel like I don't know where they may be, they might be seeing the same thing in me. They don't know where I'm at. They don't get it. Like, she lost. And I could be saying the same thing about them. But it's within our own journeys. You get what I'm saying? And we have to be respectful of that, because nobody is the same. We are all individuals. We are all unique. We all have our right to our own perspectives, to our own viewpoints. Some people speak their viewpoints harshly through emotions, and stubbornness is ignorance. So when you see someone walking in stubbornness, they're walking in ignorance. Does that mean that they're incapable of understanding and growth? No. Ignorance just means that they lack it in that moment. And so with that understanding, that moment can always change. Time change, seasons change, all of these things change. But y'all, let's get ready to get into this video. Let's get ready to get into it. Okay, let's see. And I'm gonna go ahead and start to play it, and then we can start and give some dialogue. I don't really care for that view. Let's do that right there.
We can agree to disagree on some things and come and hash it out like adults, because I was shocked with you being like you're very outspoken polygamist. Your wives are very very supportive. This is a unit. I see the kids online. Like I said, y'all dressed alike.
Right. Women get an upgrade in their status because of marriage. So that a lot of times the man need to know, do she love you, or is she looking for a promotion in status in community? Because it may have nothing at all to do with him. He could just be the conduit to her getting the status that she wants, to her going around saying, look at what I got. Look at what I got. Look at what he did for me. Woman is really, really beautiful. Okay. She gets accepted in life due to that beauty. So if she has negative characteristic traits, they often get looked over. To her, this means that she don't have to work on them. It's been acceptable in the world for a woman to come at a man. You're small. You were broke. And you were gay. So they try to destroy this man. Okay, so watch this. What you gonna say to a man to completely, utterly destroy him?
Let's get into it.
right, so we have the Rise family in the wine cellar. Okay,
Yes,
welcome. I am not drinking wine because I am on a detox with my winos. Okay,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna let you taste that. Is that okay? She
Yep.
tastes. Okay, let us know if the bottle is good. Let's see. I know this is my favorite.
I like it.
You like
It's
it?
good.
All right,
Yes.
let's get it. All right, so I got water. Now, you know they're going to say I tricked y'all because they're going to be like, oh, she ain't drinking, but y'all drinking, and then y'all go to spilling y'all whole wine. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, but that's okay. That's what the wine cellar is here for, okay? And I'm glad to have you. I was just telling you before the camera started rolling that I had reached out to you, Mr. Wesley, because me and you had some differences of opinion regarding the LaTruce debacle online.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I saw that you had seen the video that I had did with him while I was in the airport. I was en route coming from New York to back to Florida. And we were doing like our just kind of a pre promo so that people would come watch, his initial show.
Yes,
and so what we did was, just to kind of give some backstory, was I ended up recording the video with him. Now, I had gotten the information that I had gotten from Brianna LaTruth before he was even introduced. And so they had said that, she had been abused, and she kind of wants to do this rollout. She doesn't know any other, blogger, entertainer online that could kind of help spearhead this.
Shout out to Brother V in the building. What's up, bro? Thank you for coming through, King. I know it's been a minute, but I'm here. We're doing this interview about Kevin Wesley. And Tasha K did an interview with Kevin Wesley and his beautiful wives, Lacey and Jamie, about a year ago, when everything was transpiring with Robert and Brianna's divorce. It was a very toxic divorce. A lot of things went on. A lot of emotions, tensions were high. But they did this interview, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to break it down. And I want to share my perspective on some things. So that's what we hear. Shout out to Brother V in the building.
Thing that she wanted to do to kind of help boost her YouTube career and stuff like that. And she wants to expose her husband for all the narcissism and abuse that went on and things like that. And that was really the first time that I had heard of anything regarding the breakdown of the LaTruce. Now, you guys are pretty close.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your families are close. Okay, so that was interesting to me when I heard that, because once we of course I declined to do what Brianna and her team wanted me to do, because that's kind of like asking me to compromise my integrity to help boost your ratings.
Absolutely.
And so, and I kind of felt like they kind of knew that I had picked up on what they were trying to do in regards to helping to brand her and spearhead her and build her, I guess, a presence on YouTube, because she was lacking on YouTube. She's really big on Facebook, but not YouTube. And so when I started doing some research, and I was like, yeah, she's really had this in the making, as far as like her trying to brand this YouTube channel. This was going on months before the allegations had came into play. And so I guess social media had got word of her reaching out to me, and I didn't know it was as big as it was online. And everybody was like, wait a minute, Brianna faked this? And then Mr. LaTruth dropped his video of her basically crying and making a fake police phone call. I'm gonna play all that for people who don't, understand what I'm saying.
Right.
A fake police phone call saying that he had a gun and, he was beating on her and all that stuff and following her and wouldn't leave her alone and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that's what prompted me to, he reached out to me. Mr. LaTruth reached out to me, and I was like, we definitely need to talk, and we got him here. And so,
y'all, I had to put my disclaimer up, but I think everybody could recall from this time, right, when everything was going on and the video came out with the police coming to the house and everything like that. I think everybody could remember that. Critical said, Tasha said it was months in the making. Wow, yes. Can you understand, like this was, it was crazy, to have all of this going on. But let's see. She getting into her, they're getting into their place right now of what point they are right now in the discussion. So she had to give everything that transpired.
Without doing extensive research on the family, I kind of just used a very, I wouldn't say brazen approach, but based on her lying direct, like it was on camera, yes, and gave a very different narrative on what happened, and the abuse that led up to it. I instantly took his side. It was a very biased perspective during our first initial interview.
Sure.
And so once I watched it back, and then I started to go back and kind of delve into some things about what Brianna was saying. I was just like, I think I kind of approached this wrong, because although he may not have been physically abusive, you can still be mentally and emotionally abusive.
Absolutely.
And that could come in many different forms, right? And that's where our live, that's when I was in the airport and I was like, hold up, I think I got this wrong. And I think both are wrong on both sides. I think that he's contributed to a lot of things that led to the breakdown of his marriage, and vice versa, right? But I also know what it's like to live and be around narcissists, okay? Because narcissists can inadvertently drive people to attention seek. And I think that's what Brianna is doing, is by any means necessary, please hear me, because I have not been heard my entire marriage. And that's how I...
Now, see, with this right here, and I'm just going to give this, I agree with her, right? But this is where I disagree. To be honest with you, I think that the trauma of narcissistic abuse may have started long before her marriage. Does that make sense? A lot of people go through abuse in the form that they don't completely understand, throughout their childhood in the developmental process. I see exactly what Tasha K is saying, but I mean, me personally, I would consider possibly looking a lot further down the timeline. And not to say that it's a bad thing, but I think that a lot of people, especially in the Black community, we are very unaware of toxic behaviors, narcissistic behaviors that cause trauma, and it affects the way that we understand. And so then we build our character around some of the abuse, and a lot of that, how we respond to things, how we communicate, how we behave. These are all signs of trauma. And I think that a lot of Robert and Brianna's behavior patterns could come from trauma that happened long before their marriage, right? So let's continue on and see what they talk about.
I approach that conversation. Then I come across your live, and you were like, you appreciated me reaching out, and but then you was just like, well, you were very taken aback by me asking for the reconciliation of the family. And I thought that was kind of hypocritical of you, because you have a big family,
Sure.
right? And I'm sure you guys have, I couldn't. I've been married 18 years, right? We have conflicts, right? And they're not as extreme as some other conflicts or couples go through, right? Right. But we still have conflicts. But to add a third in there, and I was just like, well, if anybody knows the importance of reconciliation of a family and how important it is to keep the family together by any means necessary, that's where I was coming from. And so I was like, well, maybe we can agree to disagree on some things and come.
I mean, I can understand reconciliation, you guys, but we also have to understand that when it comes to trauma, we don't necessarily take in the play of boundaries. You know, Everybody wants to work things out. How many of y'all know how, we would grow up and we would say, I'm loyal. You know what I'm saying? We loyal. We hold it down and things like that, but not necessarily understanding or redefining what loyal means to ourselves. I tell people all the time, you have to learn what loyalty is to you before you can expect that from someone, or before you can give loyalty to someone else. So when you're looking for reconciliation, you have to understand that in some relationships, in some bondings, in some situations, you're looking to reconcile something that has been beyond repair or should have never been in the first place. But how will we know that? If we're looking through the eyes of trauma and we're lacking boundaries. But when you start to discover boundaries, you start to realize that I can't reconcile this, because if I reconcile this, or if we reconcile this, we're only hindering our own growth. Sometimes love is realizing that we both may need to walk away. So that's how I feel about it. What Raw Truth saying? Truth in the city. Thank you for coming through, Queen. Peace and blessings to you, love. Raw Truth says, y'all, Lady A was just under Tasha K comment saying she has proof and she can send it to Tasha K. Check out my community wall. I just posted it. Everybody has even if we question their journey, you have to understand some people move through misery and they may not have any idea to it. So we just let her do what she gonna do, and we all, hey, you know no comments at the moment. V, you have to protect yourself from abuse. Most definitely. Exactly. Some stuff is beyond repair. And see, the thing about it is, when we are protecting ourselves from the abuse, you don't want to be lost in trauma to where you're always looking for those things. You're looking for it and not necessarily going back to the place where you were abused to actually see what it is you need to be identifying. You get what I'm saying? And not only that, but identify where it affected you within your mindset, within your understanding, within your character. And then you have to fix that too. You got to heal from that too. Because trauma has a way of making us sickly, seek the things that traumatized us, and we don't even know it. We have no idea of it because we're constantly trying to get away from it or protect ourselves from that thing, but we end up chasing it because we're looking for it. When you're constantly looking for something, you're gonna find it, right? So you got to realize where you went wrong. How is it that I ended up looking for something that I was trying to get away from? That's healing.
I'm gonna hash it out like adults because I was shocked with you being like you're very outspoken polygamist. Your wives are very very supportive. This is a unit. I see the kids online. Mm-hmm. Like I said, y'all dressed alike.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They all holding each other hand. Y'all, it's like y'all got each other.
That's right.
I ain't even sent y'all.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. And so I just to know, like, why did it shock you so much that I was for Brianna and for Mr. LaTruth, Robert, to work it out?
Sure.
And there are like three kids involved, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I wanted to ask you that.
Okay. Well,
yeah. But real quick, yes. Okay. Introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm Jamie.
Okay.
You want to find me? Then you can. Jamie Today, and you can find me on Facebook. Jamie Today, Rise with Purpose.
Okay. Now, are you first wife, second wife?
It depends on the dynamic. I've been here for a while. We have the 3 kids. We've been here over 20 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. So within the dynamic,
okay,
then Lacey would be first.
Okay. And Lacey.
Lacey LeBeau. You can find me on Facebook at Afia Imara Rise, The Art of Becoming. And yeah.
Okay. I want you all to know that Jamie and Lacey both have YouTube channels now. If you guys do not know their channels, please go look for the channels. I think I'll even drop their channels on the community for everyone. Me, myself, and Maya is also on YouTube now. Y'all support this beautiful family, please.
How long have you been married?
Kevin and I have been married going on 3 years in March.
Okay. All right. And
I'm Kevin Wesley. You can find me on Facebook, Kevin Wesley, Be the Evolution. Instagram, I am Kevin Wesley. Just Google Kevin Wesley, you'll find it.
Yeah. Okay.
I should have done them all the same. But
okay. And combined, how many years have you been married?
So let's see. Have we been married?
It'd be 20 at the end of the month.
Because we were, 21, 20 years old?
We was
20 years old.
I'm 40 now, so if you carry the one, subtract.
Yeah, we was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. A long time.
Okay. But how long have you guys known each other, like, collectively? Like,
so Lacey and I have known each other probably 4 years, but been married to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 3 of us as a unit, 3 years.
Okay. Now, you're just polygamous. You're not polyamorous or anything like that. Okay. All right.
I want to take a minute to load. Can everybody hear me? Am I still with you guys? Shout out to this beautiful family. Everybody hit 1 in the chat if you can still hear me, if I didn't lose you. Because I know that it was loading. Okay, you can hear me. Shout out to this beautiful family. The way that they just seem so in connection with each other right here and in support with each other. A lot of people have so much criticism about their relationship and everything. It can be against your belief practices, it can be against your own understanding, but let's just be honest. They have a healthy unit, a healthy family. They're intellectual beings, and they have a lifestyle that is I think that would be a great example for anybody to, want to try to take some ideas and understanding and contribute to their own life, but a lot of people can't get past the box that they placed themselves in, or they have allowed other people to place them in, so they cast judgment onto things that they cannot recognize or understand, or have a fear of stepping out and doing so for themselves. Lady Love, thank you for coming through, Queen. Shout out to my day one. Lady Love was here, y'all, when I could not get 2 words out of my mouth. Literally couldn't get nothing out of my mouth. I was so nervous. She stuck through it with me, y'all. Shout out to Lady Love. Lady Love done endured people trying to come and be disrespectful to her. You know what I'm saying? I had to come through and, let everybody know. Anybody that comes in this chat and is disrespectful to Lady Love, they automatically block. Period. No questions asked. Shout out to you, Queen. I miss you so much. Thank you for coming through. No, Lady Love, we was doing the interview for that Tasha K did with Kevin and his wives. I know that it happened like a year ago, but it just recently came out, and we're gonna talk about it and break it down. I'm so happy to see you, Queen. I'm so happy to see you.
We just had a polyamorous couple in here last 2 weeks ago. It was very interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people get the 2 misconstrued, totally different lifestyles, even though they fall under polygamy as well.
Okay. And so, but you two definitely don't have any relationship with one another sexually.
Not romantic,
but as far as the family dynamic, you guys are considered sister wives, correct?
Right.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure you guys watch the breakdown of the LaTruths online as well too.
Yes.
Okay. And I just found out that you two are content creators as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And is your following somewhat big, or I mean, how would you consider?
I wouldn't.
Where you at?
Well, not yet.
Okay.
Say I'm a little over 60. So I'm just starting.
Okay.
Say I started probably about 2 years.
I mean,
about 2 years ago I started. So yeah.
That's really decent.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And for you,
I'm around about 150.
okay.
About 2 years now.
Okay. And so you're the whole family, because I know you're definitely a content creator. That's how I found you.
Yes,
so the whole family dwells in content creation. Okay. So everybody's pretty much a public figure.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And so you can relate very closely to the LaTruths.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
With both of them being content creators.
Absolutely.
Now, my husband is not that he's behind the scenes, because he run this whole shit, right? But I just, it's kind of like, I kind of look at this like Bill and Hillary, right? And Bill was the first president, and then he had that controversy with, you know, the dress and the semen and all that. And then Hillary runs for president. And then there's this controversy of emails and all that stuff, but you never seen them go at each other. Right. And so that's kind of where I was coming from when it came to the LaTruths, is that you got both that are public figures, both that are very heavy on social media, both that are equally contributing to the decline of the relationship, and both are extremely extreme when it comes to the response of all of that. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is given your background, given you've been married 20 years and then another 4 years, and you know you're dealing with 2 women as opposed to 1 woman. Why did you disagree with how I handled that promo and had to dial back and ask for a reconciliation of the family, a Black family?
Okay. And so I'll say this. So,
okay.
Regardless of you disagreeing with, I think some of the things, it's not really a lot. I want to thank you for giving my brother a space to be able to speak. Okay. Because we live in a world where it's so easy to pick up a camera and just destroy a person. And we just believe the first thing that someone says. Many of us have been through things, so our trauma overrides. And so we use that trauma to prove them right. We know they're telling the truth because we've been through it with somebody before. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so before you know it, the whole world was against him. You did not see him. Okay. He almost lost it. Okay.
You're talking about behind the scenes? Absolutely. Because I know he puts on a very, very good
ignore it. I'm telling you. I know my brother. Tough. Okay. He wasn't that day. He wasn't during that time. Okay. Okay. So I'm watching him crumbling due to his wife, who he loves with all his heart. He loves that woman. Okay.
I know he does, and I saw that during our interview.
On the outside looking in, you can see that she came into a relationship with 3 children, and he took on those 3 children. Right. You even see a video where he said, "I never even wanted kids." Now that scene is him saying something mean, but he's saying, "I never wanted kids." He would have taken her in, raised her children without her giving him one. What? Would you do that?
With a man, no.
With a man, no. With a woman, neither. I love how y'all get
With a man, absolutely not. I always avoided the baby daddies. I'm like, oh, you got kids? I'm out. Like, no disrespect. Now, maybe if I was, is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Maybe if I was divorced at an age like this now, it would be different. But during my youth, absolutely not. I never dated guys with children.
Imagine you're a young man, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want children, then you should probably marry a woman with no children, right? Because if you raise those children and she's not going to give you one, then you're raising someone else's legacy. Right. All of the money and the time, the teaching, the knowledge that you put into those children, while you may genuinely love those children, 100 years from now, those are not your grandkids that they're having. They're someone else's. And men everywhere are contributing to someone else's legacy. Why? They love the woman. Okay, I get it. But treat the man like something. Like stepfathers don't get treated like anything nowadays. So I'm watching her use the children, turn them against him. I'm just watching everything crumble. Yeah. You understand? So number one, I totally agree with, marriage reconciliation. It destroys the children to break up like that. They don't have their parents in the home anymore. Very horrible. But I also look at the person. I always say relationships are about the people in them. Yeah, I love my wives. We will be together, no doubt about it. But they don't do me like she did him. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love my wives, if they did me that way, we would not be together. And I would never do that to them. And if I did that to them, then they should avoid me at all costs. You have to think about.
Now, see, when he's speaking like this, you have to understand this is coming from a place of sincerity. I'm being the most honest that I can be. And not only that, what we gotta understand, y'all, in our community, when a lot of us, we grow up through hardship. We grow up through maybe single parent homes, or no parents at all, or a lot of people go through foster care. So the understanding of a healthy marriage with children, a lot of us get that, but then there's another handful of us who don't necessarily get that. Now, when you look at both LaTruth and Brianna's upbringing, they've had differences, they've had struggles in upcoming. So we have to understand, when they come together, have they healed? Have they identified some of the things that they may have needed to get together before they walk into a relationship? Have these things, has this understanding taken place? If it did, would they even be together at all in the first place? These are questions that we all have to ask.
About your own well-being and protecting yourself. And you said at your own assessment, and even the things that she said to you, mm-hmm. She was trying to sabotage this man. She was trying to ruin him, build her brand off of him. How do you reconcile with someone who does that? How?
Have you ever been in a relationship with a narcissist before?
Well, we have many things that we can call narcissistic traits. I'll say this: I've never been with someone who was diagnosed as a narcissist. It would be unfair for me to say, but I have dated.
In all honesty, there's not a lot of people who get diagnosed as narcissists, as full-blown narcissists. There's a lot of people who have heavy traits of narcissistic characterism. They have characteristics with narcissistic traits. A lot of people are not necessarily narcissists. It's a behavior disorder, it's a behavior problem, but there's so many other things that come into play as well that can kind of blend or blur when it comes to identifying people as narcissists. Narcissist has been a big word that people have been using, these past couple of years. And to be honest with you, I think it's because it's a newfound word. Soon as a child learns a new word, they use it all the time. I've noticed that the mentality of a lot of adults, they have a childlike mind, because it's been a new trend. With every new trend, there's a word that people just use all the time, and narcissist has been one. Does that mean that everyone is a narcissist? No, because you look at some of their character and you disagree with it, or you may have been traumatized or affected by somebody who may be similar. That does not mean that this person is that person, and it doesn't mean that that person is a narcissist.
Women who I would say seemed very narcissistic.
Okay.
So I can say that.
Okay.
Actually, when I was developing my poly relationship, Jamie and I was.
Brantley's Lifestyle, thank you for coming through, Queen. Peace and blessings to you, love.
Separated. I was dating Lacey and a couple of other women. A few of those behaved just like she did when I chose Lacey. I decided I wanted to be with Lacey instead of those other women. They went online, said a bunch of lies, called me broke, said they was paying for me to, and just a bunch of the same stuff.
Okay.
So I've seen this happen before. What it did for me is it scared me. It made me say, okay, well, I'm already a public figure. Trying to date like a normal man, it isn't safe. A lot of them already have investments into dealing with you. And so if it don't go their way, they'll try to punish you for it because you're somebody. You understand? So these women were fine until I said, I don't want to be with you guys. I want to be with Lacey.
Had you laid down with any of those women?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you do take on the responsibility of why it went the way that it went.
Well,
as a Black man, as a leader, and I consider Black men the top,
sure,
of the top of the top, right? I'm talking about out of all men.
Sure.
And that is why you guys are attacked at every different angle. Okay. And so
I gotta disagree right here, sis. Because I hold our Black brothers with high regard as well. But I will not continue to and don't get it twisted. I don't enable anyone by far, or I try my hardest not to. But I will not have such a strong hold against my Black brethren and forget that they're still human. Okay? We are all human. And think about it like this. When there's a lot to make it through this life, who better to receive grace and understanding than those who have the same obstacles that were placed in their life as well. Now, I hold my brothers to a high regard, but I do not become ignorant to the fact that they have challenges just as well as we do. And it would be unfair for me to ask for grace for my lack in understanding, or my lack in my place in my journey, and then not have that same hold for them as well. We have to stop looking at men and women as a versus, and understand that regardless to whether we are man or women, we are people. Okay? And their physical, their muscle does not mean that they should be treated as if they are supposed to withstand so much that you wouldn't be able to endure yourself. That's just not fair. Is anybody with me on that? Because I don't want to lose nobody when I'm saying that. Because I have a brother, and he's strong, he's tall. I get it. You get what I'm saying? His voice is deep as well. But to say that everything that happens in a relationship, the failure of a relationship is primarily his, is not giving any accountability to the other partner, because it takes two. And so you, as the women, you have to identify within yourself where your shortcomings that can probably cause hindrance in a healthy relationship. And don't just find the fault in the man and saying, well, you as a man, you should have been able to endure and understand that. No, because him as a man, he may have shortcomings as well that he may have needed to identify. Neither one of you can identify what somebody else may need to have healing from if you haven't even realized what you need healing from yourself. What happened with Brianna and Robert, me personally, in my own perspective, they seen each other as human. And so in a lot of dynamics of relationships, most people don't even realize that they're looking at their partners as their competitor, not necessarily as a team player, but as the opposite. And it's not fair. And you want to know what happens? You want to know how this happens? Because you're a man or you're a female. A female is supposed to do this. A woman is like this. A man is like that. A man should be doing this. A man should be doing that. All of these thoughts and ideas that you have in your head is the very reason why you are causing friction in your own relationship. When we were kids, As girls, we used to fantasize about growing up and getting married and having children, and we would have this idea of what our husband would look like. But if you don't grow up into reality as an adult and understand that the person that you may be interested in, or they have a perspective as well, or you hold them to this idea, you're always going to let yourself down. You're never going to find that person because you're not letting that person be who they are. And that's the problem with a lot of relationships. They're fighting each other because they want each other to be something that is in their head and not letting that person that they care for be an individual.
I'm reverting back to like my husband's dad, right? I love to use him as an example. 4 wives, right? But his family has always, even if there were like, I don't know, I'm sure that there were other women outside to get to those 4 wives, right?
Can y'all hear me? Y'all here with me? Y'all hit that like button for me, please. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like button. Y'all let me know if I'm going in and out. Let me know if I'm going in and out. Let me know if you're still with me. And y'all hit that heart too. Hit that heart too. Hit the heart. Y'all show your girl some love. It's been a minute. I come back. I come back with peace and love. Peace and love. I think everybody can respect and value, this perspective. It's no harm to nobody. Even if our perspectives is different, Angie don't come to hurt or to purposely interfere with anybody. So, much love, peace, and grace. Let's all learn, love, and grow together, okay?
But the way we see women behaving now versus back then, it's like as a man, you have to take responsibility to some degree with whom you decide to lay down with, right? Before to figure out that character before they take to social media to try to destroy you. It's kind of like knowing who you're laying down with.
Sure.
Okay. And Robert knew very well the type of person Brianna was.
I don't think so. I think he told himself a fantasy of who she would be. And men do that. See, a woman has an idea of marriage. Typically, it's a guy who's doing better than her resourcefully. And he comes and shares those resources with her, gives her a better life. He's tall, all this type of things. A man's idea of marriage is that woman loves him, that she is a unicorn, that she's special. That's what he thinks. He doesn't think that she's a liar, conniving, deceitful. He doesn't think that, or he would not marry her. He's going to walk around with her on his arm. He wants her to make him look good.
And see, that's another thing that I want to add to what I said earlier. See, that's a narcissistic trait. It's a sense of control. You get what I'm saying? And I agree completely with what Kevin is saying right here. Because a lot of us have this sense of control. And this is why a lot of us, we gain a lot of depression when things don't go our way in life. Because we're fighting for an image that we've made up in our head based upon our own gatherings of understanding or, our own thought process. And we're always chasing this idea, and things just can't never seem to come to that. So we build up frustration and depression, and we can't never get things to get in order. We're having unsuccessful relationships and unsuccessful friendships because we're determining how things are supposed to go selfishly in our own mind, never ever realizing that we're we're causing this impression to affect the other person and how they perceive life and how they understand. We're not being fair to one another. And that's why things become problematic, because Robert and Brianna could have been identifying things that were frustrating within their relationship. But because of the way that they perceive things, they either felt attacked or unappreciated. You get what I'm saying? Or and then the way that they responded towards each other only made things worse, made more friction, because the communication, it wasn't necessarily healthy from the perspective within their own minds in the first place. I think I pushed it too far back. Hold on.
Content creator. That's how I found you.
Yes,
so the whole family dwells in content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Lady Love. Thank you so much. I try to come from a place of understanding, what I've noticed a lot on the social media is a lot of content creators, they come from their perspectives, and I can understand that, but sometimes it can be damaging to or hindering to one another, because it causes someone to feel shame or anger or guilt and not necessarily be able to grow. You know what I'm saying? And my position is not for anyone not to grow. It's all love, and my place, my perspective is not to cause judgment. I think that everybody can learn from this situation. It's a very public relationship that had a very toxic divorce, and if we don't gain anything, if we're going to gain anything from it, let it be something positive that can help us within ourselves. But what I've seen for the most part is it's only been driving people further into negativity, and that really hurts me a lot. I just can't, I don't want it to go that way. I want everybody to see where they can possibly see something within themselves and grow. We probably can't fix everything or everyone's situation, but if you could take anything that I say and fix something within yourself, then I've done a job well done. Thank you so much, Lady Love.
Things, so our trauma overrides, and so we use that trauma to prove them right. We know they're telling the truth because we've been through it with somebody before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so before you know it, the whole world was against him. You did not see him. Okay, he almost lost it. Okay.
You're talking about behind the scenes?
Absolutely.
Because I know he puts on a very, very good
ignore it,
front.
I'm telling you. I know my
he's
brother.
Tough.
Okay, he wasn't that day. He wasn't during that time. Okay. So I'm watching him crumbling due to his wife, who he loves with all his heart. He loves that woman. Okay.
I know he does, and I saw that during our interview.
On the outside looking in, you can see that she came into a relationship with 3 children, and he took on those 3 children.
Right.
You even see a video where he said, "I never even wanted kids." Now that's seen as him saying something mean, but he's saying, "I never wanted kids." He would have taken her in, raised her children without her giving him one. What? Would you do that?
With a man, no.
With a man, no. You wouldn't do a woman either. I love how y'all answer these questions.
With a man, absolutely not. I always avoided the baby daddies. I'm like, oh, you got kids? I'm out. Like, no disrespect. Now, maybe if I was, is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe if I was divorced at an age like this now, it would be different. But during my youth, absolutely not. I never dated guys with children.
Imagine you're a young man, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want children, then you should probably marry a woman with no children, right? Because if you raise those children and she's not going to give you one, then you're raising someone else's legacy. Right. All of the money and time, the teaching, the knowledge that you put into those children, while you may genuinely love those children, 100 years from now, those are not your grandkids that they're having. They're someone else's. And men everywhere are contributing to someone else's legacy. Why? they love the woman. Okay, I get it, but treat the man like something. Like stepfathers don't get treated like anything nowadays. So I'm watching her use the children, turn them against him. I'm watching him. I'm just watching everything crumble. Yeah. You understand? So number one, I totally agree with, marriage reconciliation. Okay. It destroys the children to break up like that. They don't have their parents in the home anymore. Very horrible. But I also look at the person. I always say relationships are about the people in them. Yeah, I love my wives. We will be together, no doubt about it. But they don't do me like she did him. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love my wives, if they did me that way, we would not be together. And I would never do that to them. And if I did that to them, then they should avoid me at all costs.
Miss Sean, thank you for coming through, Queen. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming through. Shout out to everyone. Thank you. I know I haven't been on for a while, so I didn't expect, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I wanted to do I wanted to give my perspective on the interview that Kevin Wesley did with Tasha K, him and his wives. Kevin has so much intellect and when he shares his perspective. And I think that a lot of people miss the point that he delivers. It's from a place of a lot of wisdom. And hopefully, somebody can see where I'm coming from and be like, you know what, I could kind of align with what's going on. And I also like the fact that Tasha K and Kevin, they didn't necessarily have a full-on agreement kind of conversation. They had two different perspectives and they were able to communicate it in such a healthy way. Whether they ended the conversation agreeing with each other or not, they walked away, not bashing and arguing and being mad at one another. I think that is the healthiest way to have a form of conversation. I respect the conversation that they had. Shout out to you for coming through, Vibe.
You have to think about your own well-being and protecting yourself. And you said at your own assessment, and even the things that she said to you, mm-hmm. She was trying to sabotage this man. She was trying to ruin him, build her brand off of him. How do you reconcile with someone who does that? How?
Have you ever been in a relationship with a narcissist before?
Well, we have many things that we can call narcissistic traits. I'll say this. I've never been with someone who was diagnosed as a narcissist. It would be unfair for me to say, but I have dated women who I would say seemed very narcissistic. Okay. So I can say that. Okay. Actually, when I was developing my poly relationship, Jamie and I were separated. I was dating Lacey and a couple of other women. A few of those behaved just like she did when I chose Lacey. I decided I wanted to be with Lacey instead of those other women. They went online, said a bunch of lies, called me broke, said they was paying for me to, and just a bunch of the same stuff. Okay. So I've seen this happen before. What it did for me is it scared me. It made me say, okay, well, I'm already a public figure. Trying to date like a normal man, it isn't safe. A lot of them already have investments into dealing with you. And so if it don't go their way, they'll try to punish you for it because you're somebody. You understand? So these women were fine until I said, I don't want to be with you guys. I want to be with Lacey.
Had you laid down with any of those women?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you do take on the responsibility of why it went the way that it went.
Well,
as a Black man, as a leader, and I consider Black men the top of the top of the top, right? I'm talking about out of all men.
Sure.
And that is why you guys are attacked at every different angle. Okay. And so I'm reverting back to like my husband's dad, right? Mm-hmm. I love to use him as an example. 4 wives, right? Mm-hmm. But his family has always, even if there were like, I don't know, I'm sure that there were other women outside to get to those 4 wives, right? But the way we see women behaving now versus back then, it's like as a man, you have to take responsibility to some degree with whom you decide to lay down with, right? Mm-hmm. Before to figure out that character before they take to social media to try to destroy you. It's kind of like knowing who you're laying down with.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, in all honesty, both women and men need to do this. Both women and men need to do this. Because a man can only look through his own eyes and own understanding. He may look at this female and say, oh, she is definitely compatible. But the woman could be the one that's hiding things, hiding traumas, hiding, things that could possibly make him change his mind, and vice versa. Women could look at a man and say, oh, he seems very compatible, but the man could be hiding things, So we all have to be accountable of self. No one is more accountable to the other than, it's not up to another person to be accountable for you. It is up to you to be accountable for yourself. If you don't want problems or future relationship problems or future friendship problems, then it is you that needs to find the full accountability in self to do a full self-reflection, healing, or whatever you have to do to see if you have everything clear within you. And not only that, but when you have these moments, when you have ineffective relationships, don't become embarrassed or shamed or stuck in bitterness to where you taunt and you aggravate and you cause hatred towards the person because it did not go in your favor. But look into why or where you could possibly grow from so that the next relationship can blossom for you.
And Robert knew very well the type of person Brianna was.
I don't think so. I think he told himself a fantasy of who she would be. And men do that. See, a woman has an idea of marriage. Typically, it's a guy who's doing better than her resourcefully.
Humble me. Hi. Thank you for coming through, Queen. Shout out to you for coming through, love. Oh, I'm getting so much love. I really appreciate y'all coming through for me. I really do. Shout out to y'all beautiful people, man. Beautiful soul. Humble Me Hype has a beautiful soul, y'all. Beautiful soul. Yes, Humble Me Hype. I was telling everybody earlier, I started working in my new job, my new office, and I'm a full-time college student. So, it may not seem like I'm there, but I've been in the saga and trying to catch up and everything like that. So, I've seen Humble Me Hype. You have a beautiful spirit. Thank you for coming through and blessing my space. I really appreciate that, Queen.
He comes and shares those resources with her, gives her a better life. He's tall, all this type of things. A man's idea of marriage is that that woman loves him, that she is a unicorn, that she's special. That's what he thinks. He doesn't think that she's a liar, conniving, deceitful. He doesn't think that, or he would not marry her. He's going to walk around with her on his arm. He wants her to make him look good. This is why men don't marry women.
Hold on, wait a minute. Did Chatty Cathy come through? Queen, I can't see some of the comments. Chatty, shout out to you, Queen. I didn't get, Chatty, I see you, lady. I see you, Chatty. Thank you for coming through. I didn't see your comments. Y'all, Chatty Cathy, you guys, beautiful, beautiful soul. Beautiful soul. I catch her when I can, but I've been following Chatty since the beginning of the saga. I love her voice, y'all. She has the perfect radio voice. Not only that, but she has very high intellect. Beautiful woman, beautiful lady. Thank you so much for coming through, Chatty. Shout out to the Queen. Shout out to all of y'all coming through. I feel so good. I know it's been a minute.
If he has value, that lives like that. She doesn't make him look good. It would be an embarrassment. His peers won't respect him because he's married a woman of low value. So if he marries her, he thinks that she's a charm. That's what he thinks.
But we started off this conversation with Brianna being somewhat considered by men of low value with 3 kids. She's coming into a relationship with a man who's pretty much a bachelor, who already has a social media presence. So I mean, so are we gonna blame, like, at this point it's like Brianna's hand was open, right? It was kind of like, I'm coming as I am, right? This is what I'm coming with. And then they have a child together. Him using the excuse that he didn't know or couldn't see that to me is insane. Because you have to understand, when people come with that much baggage, you have to understand what comes with that, because she's been scorned before, obviously.
Now, in this moment, I think that it's not being considered that Robert has had a previous relationship as well. I know that Brianna has 3 children from a previous relationship, but Robert also has a child from a previous relationship. So they both could possibly have been scorned from a previous relationship. You know, whether it may be 1 child or 3 child, in all consideration, they both have possibly been tainted or traumatized or affected, you know? And I know a lot of people look at it as they look at when people say low value, they tend to see the negative trait in it. With the 3 children, I would, particularly, I would just say a norm average value, you know. It's a lot of us who are not high value, you know, and high value is something that you would find rare, right? Something that you don't necessarily come across, right? So, you know, when you're looking at someone who has children from a previous relationship, you know, when you see that, sometimes it makes you want to, you know, take a moment back and think, am I really willing to become committed in something in this, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But to say that he should have seen that, you know, it would make it seem as if he wasn't considering his own. And that's not fair, right? If we're going to be fair, then we have to be fair. They both had previous relationships where they had children from. So they both didn't see each other.
So from my eyes,
okay,
I could see it.
Okay.
And I tried to talk to him about that, but he loved her. See, I've dated a lot in my life. I met Jamie really young. We had a very long relationship, obviously.
Okay.
So
thank you so much, Chatty Queen. That really means a lot. I really value you, and I really do appreciate you coming through and showing me love. That means a lot to me.
I've dated other women. My brother always clowned me because I'm the type of person who will date. I'm not a hit it and quit it, one night stand type of guy. I've never done it in my entire life. Okay. So he always said, man, you like to just stay with women and stuff like that.
And we're talking about Robert, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the thing is, it taught me skills that helped me maintain a relationship. You understand? So I can see it, where he's been a Casanova his whole life. He's never had a serious relationship. So when he met Brianna, red flags that he would normally notice through trial and error, he doesn't notice them.
And that's where I was holding him accountable at, because
and I would hold him accountable there too, but that's in lack of knowledge. So so for us, we can see a woman of low value, right?
Okay.
So she has 3 children outside of him. Now, low value, not personality wise,
right?
Okay, because I would never paint this idea that a single mother is a bad person in any way.
Right.
Sometimes people have really been through stuff.
Right.
So that's why I say relationships are about the people in them. It's not a rule of thumb. Don't deal with women with children, but you need to vet her and understand what her thinking is like. And if she tells you what her relationship was like with her ex, you need to listen. If it's a whole bunch of trauma, then you need to really hear this.
Right.
Because even if she was done wrong, if she hasn't healed from that, you will have to pay for that.
Thanks.
Right.
That's not a good thing. And she's wrong for that, actually. We are always responsible for.
And this happens to both parties, with men and women. If you're affected by your previous relationship and you go to the next relationship with a new person and you haven't healed, you're looking for them to pay for that, or you're looking for those red flags that affected you, and you're finding it in everything that the next person says and does, and not realizing that you're causing them to have to pay for your suffrage, to have to pay for what somebody else has done to you because you didn't heal. And this can happen between for the men and for the women. Okay, so if people are going to say that about one party, they have to say it about both. Okay, they both had things that they could have healed from, not just holding him to a standard where he's accountable for himself and her. That's not fair when everybody is accountable for themselves first.
For our own healing. If you put a band-aid on or a cast, it don't heal your wound or your bone. You do that. The cast just holds your bone in place, right? The band-aid just covers the wound to keep it from being infected. Your body is doing that healing. Even if you go to the doctor.
Oh, Sean, that was a good point. Saying that perhaps RH thought he could have helped her, not realizing his own trauma. And not only that, but Brianna probably had the same mindset as well, feeling like she could help somebody, not realizing her own trauma. A lot of people identify feeling as if they can help somebody because of their own traumas. And then they go into the relationship causing more trauma, because it's not the trauma that we're supposed to go into the relationship for. And I think that they both had even acknowledged it. They said that they trauma bonded because they both had lost their mothers. You get what I'm saying? So they both had, and that's an automatic red flag for the both of them, if you ask me, because it wasn't necessarily them two that was bringing them together. It was the experiences that affected them that brought them together. So were they meant to be? I don't know, but from that I would say no. They probably weren't meant to be, because if they were healed or on a healing journey, would they necessarily be interested in each other because they had things that they could necessarily relate to that affected them? You know, is it fair, to just look at from one aspect and say, well, Robert was wrong. Robert is the man. He should have. No, they both should have done some healing. you know and we should never go into relationship trying to help heal someone. We're not, I mean, unless you're a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor, of anything of the sorts. It's just not wisdom. You actually slow down your own life journey, trying to help someone else when they should be seeking help for themselves, before they even interfere with somebody else's life. It's quite selfish to not have completely healed and then turn around and affect somebody else's life. And it's quite selfish to even want to go in somebody else's life and try to fix them. When you're supposed to be, accepting people for who they are and where they stand when you meet them. And if you see the trauma, if you see the hurt, if you see the problem, no matter how much you care, you have to be accountable for yourself and say, I can't do that. I can't do that to myself. Exactly. All you doing is taking baggage. And we got to be mindful, because out here in the world like that, you could possibly hurt yourself and never come back from that. One false move, it could take you out. Um, I feel like I don't think that necessarily Robert was trying to fix Brianna or anything like that, but I think Robert felt like he was a great value to her. And I feel like Brianna might have felt like she was a value to him. But because of seeing things through a tunnel vision, they cause friction within each other. you know. One more so than the other, but they both yet and still, yeah. And it's called normal adulting because a lot of us on average we don't go to counseling. A lot of us on average, we don't feel like we're that traumatized. We can't see the problems within our own understanding a lot of the times. It's easier to see the wrong in somebody else than it is to see the wrong in ourselves. So they basically were just being human, you know, and not necessarily, seeing it from a healthier perspective, because in all honesty, if they were in a healthier perspective, they probably would have never been together in the first place. I think they had more of a peer support dynamic, most definitely. um I to me, honestly, I think that, and I don't want to say this harshly, but I think that they saw a motive within each other. One saw, and I'm just going to be quite frank, and I don't mean to be offensive, but one saw a meal ticket and one saw vanity, however y'all want to however y'all want to place that. I think that for the most part you guys can basically assume, which place is which place. um and Critical says, I think they both went in their own perspectives of what marriage was. Yes, and think about it, they had their own idea of what marriage was, and then they tried to impress that on each other, and it didn't work because that one wants their perspective to be manifested in reality, and the other wants theirs to be manifested in reality. So this is what we have: problems.
Then get medication if you have a terminal illness. When your body builds itself back, that's your body. The medicine don't do that. So when we come out of relationships, we go right back into one, taking all the experiences from that last relationship into this one. You're wrong for that.
And I asked him, I said, do you feel that your relationship was based on trauma, like a trauma bond? Mm-hmm. And he said yes during Absolutely. Our interview. And that's the first, I think that's the first step to acknowledging that. I don't think there needs to be a separation. I think there needs to be a breakdown of everything that this relationship was built on, and a reconciliation of how can we build from here. Right. Because both of us were entering, and I did recently see them do something together online. So,
which was horrible as well.
I didn't see.
If you're talking about the interview with.
Now, see, I can respect what Tasha K is saying. With them identifying, where they can possibly reconcile. But here's the thing about reconciling. When you guys realize that what you went through was a trauma bond, and then you realize that you have some healing from it, healing causes change. You change into a different person. So now you're asking two different mindsets, because they can't have the same mindset as before. You're asking them to come back together as if they were, and technically they weren't. They never were. It was the toxic mindset that was there first. When you heal, you tend to become a different person. You're not that same person anymore. And when you stay into the environment of toxicity, it kind of pulls you away from that growth. It pulls you away from the, now this is my perspective, but it pulls you away from the growth, and it causes you to go back into that comfort zone of toxicity. I don't think that it would have been great for either one of them. I think that it should just be acknowledged that the time and the space that they had, you know, it had its ups and downs. One may have outweighed the other. It was imperfect. But they learned something from it, and now that they can become better for themselves, for their children, and for whomever they decide to move on in their life with. I don't think that every relationship is reconcilable. And the reason why is because a lot of us in our youth, we don't necessarily foresee, the future, and we live in the moment, not realizing that our moments are toxic and traumatized, and we affect each other, and it's damaging. And so, we have to get into a place where we bring it into the culture, where we become more healthier mentally before we move into relationships, no matter how young we are, no matter how free we want to be, do some healing first. And then those relationships can tend to outweigh and live a lot longer. And, reconciliation is something that shouldn't be from something so drastic. That's not healthy. And this was a drastic situation. This was a very toxic divorce in the public's eye. I don't think that, as soon as it hit the public, it to me at a space of no return.
What they did or whatever. Yeah. It was a setup to call my brother a narcissist, even though she came on there and did a lot of the same things she's always done. When they got off, they were calling him a narcissist again. It's unreal. And she told him before the interview that it was going to be a setup. So she did an interview with those people the first time. They did not call my brother and ambush her so it could be fair. But when he did the interview, they called her and ambushed my brother so it could be fair.
How many of y'all remember that interview? How many of y'all remember that interview? I know Vibe with Sean, you did a discussion on that interview as well. I hated that interview, y'all. They played him. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Let me see. Let me go back on some of these comments. Humble Me Hype. I don't think Critical. I don't think they could have built from where it went after surgeries and all. Ego came into play. Most definitely. Ego is it's a mechanism that's built within your trauma that causes you to feel like you're protecting yourself. In all reality, you're fighting against change. Ego makes you see the negative in everything. You feel as if somebody's against you. You feel as if you're being attacked. And you can't necessarily see that the person that's giving you this information is somebody that you call your loved one, your husband or your wife. They can't be attacking you because they're your partner. It's your ego that's making you feel like you're being disrespected or you're embarrassed or shamed, right? So when that ego is built, it's gonna, and that's the thing about the ego. The ego is gonna make you crash hard because the ego is not your friend. Chatty says trauma bonding clinically is between a victim and abuser. While it can be broken down into other components, I think that term is mislabeled as much as narcissist. Just my opinion. I absolutely agree with you. Because when they're saying trauma bonding, they're identifying one as an abuser and one as a victim. And I said that not too long ago to myself, of course, and I thought about that for a second. I was like, trauma bonding, you get what I'm saying? Truth be told, they both related to something. And it was that made them find interest in one another. It to say that one is a victim and one is abuser, we're basically going to go back to the whole the versus thing. I'm trying to stay away from the versus thing. It's very difficult and challenging, but with all wisdom and grace, y'all. Let's see. Yes, he was done wrong. It was very unprofessional and biased, and it was deceptive. When he first, and I might do a breakdown on that video too, because shout out to, I think Sweet Maw did a breakdown on it. Vibe with Sean did a breakdown on it. I'm sorry if I missed anybody else who did a breakdown on it, but I always wanted to do one ever since I saw it. Because they made it seem as if he was just like not caring, and it was so much in that video. I might do it. I'm not even gonna speak on it, y'all. I might break that video down.
Okay.
And then after the interview, this specialist, or she says that she's a specialist, some type of therapist, calls him a narcissist, diagnoses him on a public platform.
Yeah, you can't diagnose anyone. That's why I said it was crazy. We all have narcissistic.
He has children watching. He's trying to build this relationship that she destroyed with his daughter, and she's going to go on a public platform to say my brother's a narcissist. She has no care in the world for what this man is going through. Mm-hmm. I think Brianna paid her. I think she pays a lot of people. This is why I say you cannot build with this person. See, if you break Brianna all the way down to where it began, okay, she's wanting to build her platform. She's wanting to use him to do that. She's the way, just simply the way she's treating him. Uh-huh. Okay, you take her back, this woman who literally tried to destroy everything y'all tried to build, tried to rip the children from you. I don't see a way to patch that. The person is gone. That person doesn't deserve a husband. He'll have to go through the heartbreak because he did not vet. He didn't vet. He shouldn't have been so googly eyed at it.
I don't agree because he went in with trauma. She went into a relationship with trauma. They both contributed equally.
Which would you say he brought in?
The trauma from his past, his mother, and his wanting mom. Yeah,
he had no woman trauma,
and the trauma of him not having a relationship ever. So you're taking someone who is very inexperienced in relationships, and so he's putting himself with someone who's very experienced with having relationships.
Consider the leverage.
And then he constantly tells her, which he told me
now,
and he said
I gotta agree. Kevin said, consider the leverage. And a lot of people can't understand this, but it's coming out their very mouths. Consider the leverage. If there is leverage, where is the leverage? We're talking about, okay, from this is based upon the perspective of what's being discussed, you guys. If Robert is less experienced in the relationships and Brianna is more experienced in the relationships, the leverage has to be considered. And it was not. Why? Because they say Robert's a man. That's not fair at all. That's not fair at all. They say Robert is older. That's not fair at all. You guys, when you go into a hospital, when you go into a doctor's office, what is the leverage between a medical assistant, the lady at the register office desk? You get what I'm saying? Even the nurse and the licensed doctor. There's leverage. There's experience. There's education. You get what I'm saying? That all take into play. So if somebody is more experienced in relationships, whether it may be toxic or not, you cannot hold the person less experienced at more fault. You get what I'm saying? If we're going to be fair, let's hold them both accountable. But if we're going to play the who should have known better, considering the leverage, just like Kevin said, all is fair is it that is fair, right? And that's just how, that's just what spoke to me. You get what I'm saying? So, but a lot of people, it miss because, we portray us women as, oh, we're so delicate, so soft, you know what I'm saying? And men, they're so hard and so strong. And, so they're supposed to be more knowing and more wise and more understanding. And that's not necessarily the case all the time. We can be just as equally wise and equally knowing. And women can be quite deceptive as well, especially if they have leverage. Right, critical.
Over and over during our interview, and I had to go back and watch that. And I was like, if this is what he was saying to her over the years, as a woman, I would probably crack somewhere too, right? Because she's already traumatized. And then you're reminding her every day that inadvertently that she's somewhat low value, or she should be appreciative that, I put you on this pedestal. I'm taking care of your children. You did not have a platform before you met me.
Now, see, my question right here is, with him mentioning these things, we have to ask ourselves, well, what is it that was done or said that would make you even want to acknowledge something like this in the first place? Because they both could have been doing it to each other, right? Where they're having a difference of agreement and they're not seeing eye to eye. So he's feeling unappreciated. So he's highlighting to you where his value stands in this relationship. And as he does that, now she's not feeling appreciated because you're making it to her seem as if she's not valued at all. So they're having a friction between understanding. Why? Because they're not healed. Because when they listen to each other, they can only hear each other as enemies and not as partners. They're having to identify to each other the value in which they stand in each other's lives. That's a traumatizing conversation. That's because their understanding has been tainted in the mental development. That's because they cannot see eye to eye. So it's not that he's saying these things out of nowhere. It's because something is affecting him just as much as something is affecting her.
All of these things, right? And so it's like you go into childlike mode trying to prove yourself that you're better. So even though
they're both doing that, they're both proving. By him making that statement, he is trying to prove himself because he as well feels unappreciated.
it was fucked up, and I understood, because I put myself in her shoes. Like, why would she go to the extreme of trying to break him down? It's because she's trying to scream out to prove not only to herself, but to people who have traumatized her in the past, and even the public's perception that I am somebody, I am of value, despite me having 3 children, now 4, despite me having a breakdown in my relationship. Like, he constantly reminded her every day that she would have been nothing without him.
And see, I can understand where this comes from. It's a lot of hurt, trying to prove yourself to other people. It's a lot of hurt trying to determine to others that you are who you say you are. But this is where we have to heal within ourselves and understanding that how people feel or view us does not determine who we are within ourselves. Because if my husband comes to me and he is telling me all of the things that he feels hold him value in my relationship, it is not to me to feel unappreciated. It is for me to realize that it's him that is feeling unappreciated. And vice versa. If Brianna was doing the same thing, it was for him to identify to her, you are appreciated. That's why you're my wife. I do value you. This is not a competition. They began a competition because they refused to see each other, to understand each other. If somebody has to identify to you who they are, it's because they feel as if you aren't identifying them in their respectful places. It's not abuse. It can be abuse. It can be abusive. But considering the fact that he does not have any past history in abuse, considering the fact that they both have toxic background relationships, or whatever the case may be, I feel like they've taken on their past understanding and they brung it to this present relationship, and they became enemies. Because now Brianna wants to prove that she's a good person or a great person, or don't define her by her past mistakes. And he's saying, well, don't define me as somebody as that I'm not when I do this and I've done this and I've brought this. All it is friction towards each other. They were refusing to understand each other. And you know what does that? Trauma. And it is not Robert's job to identify that alone. It's Brianna's job as well. What Critical says, she was mentioning he wanted love like his mother among others. You get what I'm saying? That right there is a very hurtful statement, and Tasha K was one-sided with that one. Yeah, trying to see the perspective from Brianna, and I can see the perspective from Brianna. A lot of the times, we as women, we do grow up, with that hurt of wanting to be, who we are inside, and not necessarily having that being easily receptive from the world. But it's within us that we have to realize that it is not the world that that determines that. It is us. I don't need to be accepted. Me and my twins, my two children, we don't have to be accepted. I accept myself. I take accountability for myself. It is my experience that brought me to my present that will lead me to my future. If you're ashamed of yourself, that is the only way that you're going to allow the thought process of others to cause you so much to have to prove to them. And you don't have to prove to them. Stop being ashamed of yourself and your past. Accept who you are. Embrace who you are. And embrace those that come around you and accept the same. Their value scale was definitely different. Facts, Queen. Facts, Critical.
So
and
it did not go that way. That's not an everyday type of reminder. Okay. Whenever he's doing all that he can to make her happy, and he really was. Okay. Now it may be buying her things, taking her places, but that's what he knew to do. That's what she asked for. So when he's doing those things and she's still complaining, this man is now saying, let me put my value on the table. I do this for you. I do that for you. This isn't him rubbing it in her face. See, it's really difficult dealing with what I call an emotional terrorizer. Okay. You can try to explain to them your value, but it will come off as insulting them. So if you say, I do all this, and you're still ungrateful, to her, I'm ungrateful. Here's another thing I'm doing wrong. He has to literally tell you, I'm taking care of your kids. He has to say that. Whenever she's sitting here and she's emotional terrorizing, creating toxic, or just literally letting these toxic ideas that come to her mind, that she's building on them. She's sitting here thinking about how bad of a person he is. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. He's not doing this. I believe a good person, not even a good wife, but a good person, remind themselves of all the things that he is doing. Okay, he's came into my life and he's given me a much better life. He's not cheating on me. He is a great father to my children. My sons get to see an example of a hardworking man. No, he isn't the example that my father was to me, an in-home father, but he is a great father nonetheless. Now, there are men out here who go off and be in the military and they die for this country. And we see that as great for giving your life for this country. I see it as cannon fodder. Okay. This man is being used to die for rich people, but the wife praises that. And when he dies, they bring home a nicely folded blanket and he becomes a hero or flag. And he's a hero. But Robert, because he's created his own life and he doesn't have to go to work for somebody. Now him going to work is neglecting her. He's been a workaholic. That's how he amassed all this platform and the wealth. So she comes into his life because she says, okay, this is a capable man, capable of leading me and my family. Because if it's not that, you shouldn't have married him. So if you trust him to do that, why wouldn't you allow him to do that? He's already successful. He's proven himself by making you successful. You're now in a situation that you likely wouldn't have been in. She wanted to continue nursing. He talked her out of it. They argued about that. Here's what I'm saying. She comes into his life. She sees that he's a man of value, or that he has resources. He's accomplished enough for himself for her to deem him worthy. Okay, of leading her. Now, this is what a wife should do. She gets with a capable man. Okay, so now he gives you advice. I don't want to hear that advice. I want to argue. That ain't peace. That's not peace. Baby, why don't you want to go to work and work for all them hours whenever we can make more money if you stay home with the children and we create these videos.
Now here we go, y'all. We getting into that finance. And we all know finance is one of the leading conversations when it comes to anything in adulthood, in relationships, and all. It don't matter if y'all got money or don't got money. Finance, careers, jobs, hustles, all of that. That is a very important thing, y'all. That's really important, y'all. And this is what I was thinking. Because now we get into the nitty-gritty of the discussion, right? So now we getting nitty-gritty into the discussion, right? It's getting up in there. And this is the best part of the conversation, y'all. What y'all think about an open panel? What y'all think about, having some dialogue where, we come up and we have this discussion to break this video down some more, because it's about to get into some real spill. And I would love to hear everybody's opinion on what they think Brianna and Robert probably should have done as far as the career path and the choices. Tell me what y'all think, because I can give you my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But I think it'll be interesting if we all give a piece of perspective. What y'all think? Y'all want to do something like that? Maybe tomorrow do a breakdown. I think that'd be dope. What y'all think? I think because I would love to get everybody's opinion on it. On that part 2, you know what I'm saying? I mean, or not, because I could give my opinion, I could give my wisdom. Y'all let me know what y'all think. You agree, Critical? I think that it'll be dope for everybody to come together and finally say their piece when it comes to this career thing. Because what would you do in a relationship where somebody is bringing on a financial opportunity and then and you have a career? You know what I'm saying? What do you do? And does this cause a division in the relationship? Can this be detrimental to whether a relationship should work or not? These are all important matters. I don't think that this discussion, as far as Robert and Brianna's relationship, is something that is short of of importance. And I think that a lot of people have to get to a point where they can sit down and just look like that was a tough understanding. Now, I'm not even gonna lie. Me personally, how I would have felt if I was able to have a career that, especially with me having my babies, where I can take them to doctor's appointments, I can take them, if they fall sick from school, I can go and get them. I don't necessarily have to answer to anyone and tell them what's going on. No, I don't have to call out. If I'm able to do that, I would take into deep consideration. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as a female, is it comforting to go into a career and necessarily try to build that concrete for yourself? It's We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, y'all. We're going to do a part 2 tomorrow. I'm not done with this breakdown. Tomorrow I want to do an open panel. If no one comes up, I'll give my perspective. Shout out to y'all for coming through. I am going to try to be more active. As you can see, I'm going to try to give more dialogue. I definitely don't want to end this discussion. But I definitely don't want to have to give it all at one time. And not only that, My bro Robert is live. So everybody, please go check him out. Peace and blessings to you all. We're going to be back tomorrow. Y'all hold our space, okay? Hold our space, because I really want to get into this.